Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Good to be with you today, kind of a special day. There's a point I want to bring out today, something important to bring to your attention. And I've expressed it this way. Sometimes important truths are made clear following struggle. Sometimes the most important truths can be made clear following struggle. Now, I just want to, before getting into the Torah portion, I see an element of this in terms of what occurred last Sunday night, and I just have to make some reference to it because the celebration last Sunday night was, forget it, it was fantastic. I mean, really, to hear the kind things that were said by so many of you, it's the kind of thing really you hear at your funeral. You know what I mean? But to hear in advance was nice. I mean, more than nice. It was absolutely fantastic. But, looking at the history of the congregation, it hasn't always been easy and light and cheerful and everything rolling out so easy. I remember even shortly after Sue and I came, we were practically kids, and I knew in my kishkas, I knew that we had to go in a more authentically Jewish direction, because if you're going to wear yarmulkes and keep Jewish holidays, unless you want to just be a phony, you got to mean it. It has to have some content, some depth. And we all get that in the congregation now. But back then, I remember one of the lay leaders saying to me, I don't know about this whole direction you want to go. His phrase was, I don't know what's coming around the corner. What's coming around the corner? And I said, I don't know. All I know is we got to lift up Yeshua. And if we're going to call ourselves a Messianic Jewish congregation or synagogue, we got to mean it, But in terms of the specifics, it was too early in the game. So it hasn't been easy, and there have been other times that have been challenging. I'm going to tell you just for fun, because I'm not going to be with you for a while, so you'll indulge me. Kind of a fun story. At a distance, it's fun. But we met in a little crummy hotel in Brookline, 1200 Beacon Street. The hotel, and it was a place of ill repute, let's just put it that way. And we would have our services on Friday nights. And toward the end of the service, a gentleman would come in, probably part of one of the people of the deinstitutionalized, situation, because at that time there was the strategy of dealing with people with emotional and mental struggles to deinstitutionalize, and good and bad, etc. But this gentleman would show up at the end of the service, and toward the end of the service, Cynthia and another lady would put out the oneg, which consisted of desserts, and they would put them out, and they lay them out beautifully. And this gentleman would come in, not for the service, but at the end, he'd walk over to the dessert table, put his hands in all of the icing of every dessert, and then proceed to fill his pockets and go home. It was a bit of a challenge. I had to eventually ask him, listen, you can't do that. Come to services, you're more than welcome to have oneg Shabbat, but you can't do that. That was a funny little challenge, but there are some big ones. But the point of the matter is sometimes the revelations of such wonderful truth and wonderful ideas and thoughts comes after a period of struggle. And I'll have to say, it has not been an easy road. And of course, now it's a different story entirely. We got a terrific senior rabbi, Rabbi Nathan, and we've got a new ark being prepared for our sanctuary, which is fantastic. We got some money in the bank. We got a fabulous board. We've got a lot to be thankful for, but it was a long road and not always easy. But last Sunday night, kind of culmination in a very beautiful sense. So, the love of the community just was revealed. A lot of struggle, but the love that was revealed was just truly wow. I mean, again, indulge me for a moment more. Stacy's song. Wow. Who could do that, to write 3 stanzas, each of which actually fit real things in the congregation? It was absolutely fantastic. And the orchestration of the evening, Rabbi Nathan and Shana and Connie and Michelle and Dave and you guys, wow, what a night, The videos were so touching. The pics, it's amazing how young you start out, and then you look at the older pictures, you go, hey, what happened? But that's okay. And of course, the gift that you gave was phenomenal and much appreciated. The point is, that the love of the community is revealed, but it comes after a certain amount of struggle, and not all struggle, lots of good things along the way too. But that leads us very naturally to our Torah portion. And not the section that we read today. You see, in Vayigash, we read about Judah approaching Joseph to plead with him, please, please don't keep Benjamin here. It's going to kill our dad. And of course, he didn't know that that was Joseph's dad too, right? And you have this amazing passage. And let me say parenthetically, Dave Nickel wrote a beautiful, really penetrating commentary on Vayigash. And if you ask him for it, maybe he can share it with you. It was really magisterial and touched me, and I think it'll touch many of you as well. Very, very meaningful. But you can ask Dave for that. But anyhow, the section that I want to call your attention to occurs in a different sidra, or different section of the overall reading for the day. And that's all about Joseph revealing himself to his brothers. So I'm going to take you through that passage, and not the whole thing, but I'm going to ask you to turn, if you want to follow along in a copy of the Torah, chapter 45 of the book of Genesis. And here's how it goes. So again, Judah appeals to him, please, please don't keep Benjamin here. And then it says, then Joseph could no longer control himself before all his attendants, and he cried out, have everyone leave my presence. And so there was no one with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers. And he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household heard about it. So he's crying like a baby in the presence of his brothers. And they're, what is going on here? And they're probably feeling very threatened and very afraid at that point. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still living? But his brothers did not answer him. They were completely disoriented at that point because they were terrified at his presence. Then Joseph said to his brothers, come close to me. He invites them all to come real close. And they get up out of their cushions and they stand and they come close to him with trepidation, wondering, is he going to call for the executioners and have us killed right now? You know, come close to me. When they had done so, he said, I am your brother Joseph, the one you sold to Egypt. And now do not be distressed and do not be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God sent me ahead of you. Can you imagine how they're feeling right now? At that point, they're saying to themselves, it must be him. No one else knew that we sold him to... How would anyone else know that he was sold unless he was Joseph? It must be him. And the truth is dawning on them. And it's just this amazing moment when he says, listen, don't be mad at yourselves. I'm not mad at you. You intended this for evil, but God had a purpose to save life through it. For 2 years now, there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years, there will be no plowing or reaping. But God sent me ahead of you to preserve for you a remnant on earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. That sense of the covenant that God made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that necessitated, if the line is going to continue, God had to protect the people of Israel. And he did. And he did. So then, it was not you who sent me here, but God. He made me father to Pharaoh, not literally father. Sometimes the term is used in a superlative, honorific way, but not literally his dad. We understand that. He made me father to Pharaoh, lord of his entire household, and ruler of all Egypt. Now hurry back to my father and say to him, this is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord over all Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You shall live in the region of Goshen, nicest section of Egypt, and be near me, you and your children and grandchildren, your flocks, your herds, and all you have, and I will provide for you, because these 5 years of famine are still to come. Otherwise, you and your household and all who belong to you will become destitute. You can see for yourselves, and so can my brother Benjamin, that it is really I who am speaking to you. What a moment. Can you imagine? And Benjamin goes, he looks a lot like us. right? Like that. Tell my father about all the honor accorded to me in Egypt and about everything you have seen, and bring my father down here quickly. And then, this is so great, get this. Then he threw his arms around his brother Benjamin and wept. And Benjamin embraced him, weeping. Benjamin had heard about Joseph, the older brother who was killed allegedly by an animal, and now he's meeting him, and the circle is becoming complete. He kissed all his brothers and wept over them. Again, what a moment. What a moment. And afterward, his brothers talked with him. The passage goes on. We won't take the time now. You could read it later on today. A magnificent, magnificent passage. One of the great moments of the Bible. One of the moments that great truth is being revealed after a lot of tsuris, a lot of trouble, guilt, and pain, and all that came with this horrible sin of them selling him into slavery because they were collectively jealous of him. And he was a nudnik as a kid, and they overreacted and sold him into slavery. And now everything is being resolved through the struggle, and now the revelation of goodness at a much, much higher level. I won't take the time, but you could also read the Basora portion with this same idea in mind. Here you have struggle of being a cripple. I mean, it's a tough life to be, there were no social services back then. And struggle. And then this person being lowered through the roof so we could land right in front of Yeshua, and hopefully he would heal him. And that's what happens. And the people end up seeing this amazing account, saying, we have seen amazing things. The revelation, again, truth revealed through the struggle and through the effort of lowering this guy down. That's the gist of how that passage would fit what I'm trying to say. Now, in conclusion, I want to make a prediction. I want to predict that some truly remarkable things will happen. It will be coming about in the weeks and months ahead. And I mean amazing things. As in the case of Joseph's revelation of his identity, uncertainty and anxiety were followed by resolution and redemption. I think we are in, and will continue to see for at least a short while, a very, very remarkable period characterized by things that will take your breath away. That is my conviction. I won't be specific, but I think the next few weeks or perhaps months will be challenging. So, since this is my last Shabbat speaking to you until the end of March, I want to pray a blessing over all of you at Ruach in light of what I'm believing to be a time of challenge, but also a time of great potential and perhaps amazing good things as well. So I want to pray for you, and I've composed this prayer. Abba, today I thank you for all the members and friends of this very special synagogue. I thank you for the love and commitment of all these wonderful people. Avinu, given the political and other issues facing the United States and the world right now, I want to pray for all these friends. Please give each and every one of them a deep sense of your presence while they are at home, when they go to sleep, when they wake up in the morning, while at services and joining in other Ruach activities, while with their families, while at work, while alone with their thoughts. Give them all courage and even a new flexibility of heart and mind to see new possibilities as events unfold. May their love for one another continue to show itself in ways which make you smile. May you bring us back together soon, sitting all together in this sanctuary, worshiping you and enjoying with new appreciation the privilege of sharing life together. Toda Rabbah, thank you for your faithfulness to your covenant with our Jewish people, for the love of Messiah, and for the work of your Ruach among congregation Ruach Israel. We pray in the name of the one who loved us and gave himself for us, Yeshua, the Son of David, our coming King. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. See you all very soon.